Hi guys, so I've still got loads and loads of these sprues that you guys have been sending in, so again many thanks for that. I am now not taking any more sprues just because I've still got about a dozen boxes, and we're talking big boxes full of these lovely things. So yes, for the moment, if you have got any sprues, keep hold of them. And obviously I'm going to show how I turn them sprues into this. It's a custom Great Unclean One, Nurgle boss, demon, Miss Piggy, abomination really. So yeah, I'm going to leave a link up in the top where I made my first Great Unclean One, which I made probably, I don't know, about 8-9 months ago. And probably the first time I sort of made something out of sprues. So go and check that one out and see if you prefer that Great Unclean One or this one. So let's get started. So obviously I've looked at lots and lots of pictures of the Great Unclean One and demon Nurgles and the like, and thought I'd have a go at making one a little bit different, and this is what I've come up with. So again, obviously you can see my great drawing skills, and I've gone for a combination of a Nurgle, a kind of a pig, and it's the Fat Lady Sings. If you don't know who that is, go and type in Fat Lady Sings into Google and you'll see exactly what I mean. So this is another video where obviously the sprue glue really comes into its own, and I'm going to try and make a sort of like, well, I wouldn't call it a skeleton for this thing, but sort of something that I can work on. And as I want to make this completely out of obviously the sprues, I'm using the sprue glue in these kind of like half domed round silicone molds, just because I want to make sort of like some balls or circles that I can basically glue together, and that will then form the sort of like the basic shape of what I'm going for. If you've seen the previous Great Unclean One, you'll have seen that I use loads and loads of like polystyrene balls. And as I say, this one I want to be completely sprue built, apart from the base and some paint obviously. So that's why I'm pouring the sprue glue into these sort of like these bases or these silicone molds. And yeah, that way I'm going to use these to make the basic shape. So that's the one thing about making things with sprue glue that's a little bit different from making normal builds, is that there's a lot more preparation work that goes into this, because obviously all these things like now, these have been left to dry for, well, a good 24 hours really, just to make sure they're fully sort of cured, I guess you can call it. I'm also going to make some stringy bits to obviously go on this this Nurgle, and I want to make some like obviously the intestines that are coming out from his tummy. So again, for this I'm going to use my little sort of metal syringe here, because that way I can push out some nice thin long bits of the sprue glue. But as you'll see, I can also make it sort of like wibbly wobbly, and that looks great for the guts that obviously can be spilling out of this this little beastie. Oh, and guys, I'm thinking about doing a video soon where I don't do any talking, I just put sort of music over it and basically keep the sound effects in from me doing the build. Just wondering what your thoughts are on a non-chatty video. Do you prefer me chatting throughout the whole thing, or would you like a sort of an ASMR sort of like video with some music on it? Let me know in the comments, guys. So yeah, as you can see, this has all been left for a good 24 hours, and it's now fully sort of dried, cured, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I mean, some of these circles have come out really, really smooth, which is quite rare. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. Obviously, you're not going to see any of these in the end sort of build. This is purely just to make the sort of the basic form and shape of this Nurgle, which I can then add some more sprue glue to it. So yeah, making these little circles, half circles, works really well. As you can see, I'm using one of my custom bases. I've had a little bit of a change of how I'm making them, but I'll tell you that in another video. So yeah, it's a case of gluing all these bits together to making a sort of a basic shape. So there's his tummy. These are going to be like, kind of like big shoulder bits and pieces. So yeah, obviously the good thing with this sprue glue is it can be glued normally with super glue, or you could use cement glue. But as I always say, because I'm sort of working on time and to make these things try and stick together, although sometimes they do still take a while, yeah, I'm using the super glue. So this one's obviously going to be a female Nurgle. I don't know if there's many female Nurgles or demon bosses out there, but this one certainly is. So obviously it needs a pair of these, which is a good reason for making those round balls in the first place. So here's some more sprue glue. As you can see, the colour in there is a bit different, and that's because I think there's some blue or green sprues went into that one. I'm not too sure. But yeah, so whenever you put the sprues in the acetone, obviously when it starts to melt, some of the colouring does seem to come out. So as you can see, normally if it's just the grey sprues, then it comes out sort of like a weird greeny. But if there's like a blue sprue or even a green sprue, then it seems to come out a bit red. So I've rolled out a flat panel of the sprue glue. This is probably about 7 hours old, So it's sort of starting to dry, so it's easy to touch, but it can be wrapped. And that's obviously exactly what I'm doing here. I'm going to wrap it around a pen, just because I want to make some sort of bits for the legs. Again, this is all like framework, so none of this is going to be seen. It doesn't need to be too neat in any kind of way. It's purely to get a basic shape that I can then put some more sprue goo onto to make the final sort of like look. So again, yeah, I'm using more of these silicone molds, which are really good. So you don't need to use any kind of release agent or anything. The sprue goo just sort of comes out nice and clean, and yeah, it does really well. And I'm also using the sort of tubes for the basic sort of arm shape as well. And once I have got the basic shape of this, then we get down to the fun bit of basically getting the sprue goo and yeah, almost kind of like pouring it over this thing. So there you go, there's a rough sort of shape and look of him. And the other good thing about doing it this way is he's nice and light then, so he's not like a solid sprue build. He, yeah, it's basically like a shell. So yeah, using the sprue glue, I'm obviously filling in the gaps first. And the good thing with this is you can be messy. You don't really need, well, in fact you don't want to smooth this stuff out. You want it to sort of like have thin little bits here and there, and sort of like, basically when you keep moving it around, that's when it starts to look like sort of rotten flesh or sinewy muscle. So yes, a sprue glue for any kind of Nurgle builds is ideal, because then you can go the messier the better. And there you go, looking at the back, you can see obviously I have sort of messed it all up a lot, and it does look like, well, rotten flesh. So yeah, zombies, this would make some ideal zombie sort of flesh skinned look. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how this is going on, and say I'm having fun with this. This is quite a fun thing to do, because you don't have to be neat in any way, and in fact obviously you try and make it less neat. So it's got some nice cute little toes there, and again using the sprue glue, just sort of filling in any gaps here and there. Yeah, so guys, if you haven't got any more ideas for what to build with sprues, by all means let me know. I say this month I am going to try and do all sprue builds, but I am now actually going to introduce a few other little builds this month, just because I think I am getting all sprued out. Mainly because obviously when you do the sprue builds, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of planning and preparation with these, and you can literally only sort of like do a few bits at a time, because then you have to let it dry like I have here. So he's dried for a good 5-6 hours before I can do any other bits basically. So when he's drying, obviously I need something else to do, and obviously I like to make things, so yes, I want to make other stuff. So the same can be said for the sword that I'm kind of making here. This is a panel I rolled out, well, 24 hours ago basically, because I've made this one a lot thicker than I would normally, just because obviously because it's a sword, it needs to be nice and big and chunky. And as you can see, even though this has been left about 24 hours, it's still relatively soft, and can be sort of like bent and sort of shaped into anything else. So yeah, so this is a sword I'm making. I'm going to have it sort of so it's cut into the body. So obviously, yeah, because this is like a hollow sort of tube kind of build so far, it is going to be easy to cut because it's only a thin layer, which is kind of cool, because then you can really adjust this and change it and do what you want really. But say that is the only downside, the fact that I have to wait so long in between doing each bit. As you can see, I have a few technical problems here with my sort of blade. Every time I try to like tighten it up, it would still get caught inside the body. So yeah, out comes the bigger knife. There you go, bigger is better sometimes. So as well as leaving suggestions in the comments sections, guys, about what sort of sprue builds you want me to do, also let me know what other kind of build you want to do, because I want to do some more scratch building. Every time I do a scratch build sort of project or build or whatever you want to call it, I always say that I really enjoy them and need to do more. And yeah, that is true. I want to do more because I do enjoy doing the scratch build projects. So if there's anything else you want to see me build that isn't sort of sprue related, yeah, let me know and I can sort of add that to my list of things to make. So yes, yeah, so obviously say, as I am making this into a sort of combination Nurgle, pig, the fat lady sings, she does have a kind of a Viking look to her, so obviously I'm making some sort of like, well, kind of like a metal bra, I guess. We'll obviously be making a helmet and a shield to go with this little ensemble. Yeah, so these are obviously the good old rivets that I make from the panels with the hole punch, and then they just get glued on wherever I need them. Yeah, nice and simple, and say great way of making rivets from sprues basically. Oh, there was one other thing I wanted to sort of mention, guys, and it seems that YouTube seems to be taking away people's notifications, as in you may well have been notified or turned on the bell for my channel, but it may well have been turned off by YouTube. So if you can have a little check see if you are still getting notified when my videos come out, because I do seem to get less and less people notified yeah, when a video comes out. So if you can check that, guys, that'd be awesome. So I wanted to keep the base quite simple. So yes, I thought I'd have a go at putting some, obviously, the PVA glue on here first, and then just sprinkling on some tea leaves, just to give it a bit of texture, but so it's not sort of like overpowering. Because I was originally thinking about doing the base kind of like a Nurgle-y sort of weird looking base by using the Sprue glue, but I thought it might be a bit too much, so I didn't bother. So for the shield, I've got this Lego piece, and then I've just attached a few more of those sort of rivety things. And then, yeah, using this blue stuff, which I've only just started really using, and it's fantastic for making sort of like one-off little casts. It was relatively cheap. It was about £12 for quite a large amount. The piece you've seen here, it's probably about another 4 or 5 pieces of this amount. So you can make quite a few moulds from it. But obviously the great thing is, once you've made your mould and cast your pieces, you can then just reuse this by chucking it back in some hot water and then, yeah, recasting something else basically. So yeah, good old Sprue glue, again, goes in this stuff really well. It's a case of really using this little tool to sort of push it into all the nooks and crannies. I'm trying to keep thin layers when I do this as well, just because I have sort of mentioned before in previous videos, the thicker the sprue is, the longer it takes to obviously sort of harden, because obviously it takes a while for the acetone to evaporate. Obviously it evaporates quicker when it touches the air. So yeah, thinner amounts of this stuff, and then it will dry so much quicker and easier. So yeah, really pushing it in now, and then yeah, hopefully this will give me a relatively good looking shield. So there you go, it's dried now for about 12 hours or so. Generally I leave these kind of things overnight, just makes it easier. And again, no release agent, and it's come out, yeah, not too bad. There's going to be a little piece that goes over the centre bit, so that's fine. And as it is nice and thin and easy to cut, I can just use normal scissors. So there you go, nice and easy to make a shield. If you are new here and you like what I do, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, as I do produce a video every week. And if you can, hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment down below. Again, this does help the channel, as it helps YouTube promote it to more and more people. As one day I really would like to do this sort of thing full time. So cheers, guys. So yeah, back to the Nurgle. So she really is looking rather gross and disgusting. And these are those bits that I squirted out earlier with my little metal syringe. And yeah, they do look like intestines, kind of like, well, oozing out the stomach. So yeah, it's a very fun build, this. Quite messy, but again, it's just a lot of fun to make something with something that would normally get thrown away or left in cupboards. So yeah, Sprues, guys, awesome things. I think you should all have a go at making something similar to this. Nice and easy, nice and cheap, and yeah, good fun. So now onto the bit that always fills me with dread. I've made a good model, and now we're going to ruin it with some paint. But yeah, so at this stage, obviously, I've primed it in a white, just because I seem to have a lot of white primer. So I thought I'd have a go at doing that. And the other reason for doing that is I'm going to have a go using my little cordless airbrush, or air gun, whatever everything's called. And this is pretty good, but because it's obviously cordless, it has a low pressure to it, which means the paint really has to be thinned a whole lot. So because it is thinned, you really can't spray it onto sort of dark things. So again, that's why obviously doing the base coat or primer in white just means that I can go over it with this, and yeah, it doesn't look too bad. So yeah, this gun isn't too bad, but again, because it is a low pressure, it does have its limitations. But getting a good colour all over is fine. So I'm going to change it up now. I've added a little bit of purple in there, just to sort of vary the colour of this thing. Obviously going with a pinkish colour, because I'm sticking with the theme that this is kind of like a Miss Piggy. But as you'll see later on, that does change quite a lot, because I keep looking at it and then I keep thinking, well, it looks too clean and too pink, so let's mess it up by adding a variety of other colours. So at this point, I still don't mind the painting of this thing, but as you'll see later on, again, some projects I do, I paint them and I really enjoy them. Some I paint and they're like, that was alright, and then others I paint and I think, oh, why did I bother? This one was getting towards the why did I bother bit, just because I'm not a good painter. I don't always enjoy the painting bit. I do try my best, but sometimes I just don't know what I'm doing half the time. So yeah, so if you're here for painting advice, well, this is how not to paint. Yeah, there's lots of good YouTubers out there that can show you the right way to paint. But I mean, the end result, I don't mind too much. I just know it could be painted better by someone else. So it's at this next stage where I thought, well, it looks too clean. And how to make it unclean? Yeah, just chuck on loads of black wash, which is kind of what I seem to do with a lot of my builds, which is why doing rust effects works awesome and doing rocks looks awesome. But sometimes any other things, I think they kind of ruin it. I mean, it doesn't ruin it doing this one, because obviously it does look a lot grosser and messier, and, well, you wouldn't want to meet this in a dark alley. But yeah, I sometimes think I relied too much on doing a black wash just to give it a different effect. So again, I was still thinking it looked a bit too pink, so what can I do to change that? And I thought, oh yeah, chuck some orange on. And as you can see at this stage now, in my head, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. I really am just adding bits here and there, obviously dabbing bits off. But again, say the overall end effect doesn't look too bad. It does look really, really gross. But yeah, this isn't one of those painting ones that I enjoyed. This was one of those painting ones where I was thankful when it was all over, basically. But yeah, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little build. It's always fun to make things with sprues. So let's get on to the main bit of being able to see this in its full glory. Hope you enjoy it, guys. Don't forget to leave comments down below, hit the thumbs up, and subscribe if you're new. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to click on that like button. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button up the top there. And if you want to help support the channel, become a patron just over here. And there's another video just over here, so you can see more of what I do. Okay guys, that's it. Bye for now.